how I became a free and clear property owner at the age of 27. So, when I was 27, I got a check from an accident that I had previous in like 2018 or something. And yeah, the check took forever to come, but I used that money because I was like, I'm not gonna spend this money on shoes or whatever, or bag. I'm going to put this into a piece of land because I knew that I was not going to have another opportunity to actually pull myself out of poverty and give myself true stability. You know, I was I was going through a lot, and I was dealing with a lot, and I'm also just a certain kind of person. You know, not everybody is the same, and so this is the way that I went so that I can create stability for myself in a way that I feel like is good. Because, you know, being able to rent an apartment is not stability to me. Because I realized very quickly that if something happens to me, I break a bone, or I'm out for a long time, I'm not going to be able to keep that. Or if I get into an accident, I lose my, my car, whatever, then you lose everything, right? And given the fact that I had so many people in my life trying to make it so that I wouldn't have just basic necessities, I realized that the best way for me to get out of this situation was to do something that most people would never want to do and think is crazy and stupid, okay? But this crazy, stupid idea that I had actually saved my life. And so I want to talk a little bit about how I became a free and clear landowner. And while in the beginning it seemed like not the best idea, it actually ended up being literally my godsend. And so I found a property that was in a place that was not popular. I found a property that people deemed to be trash, right? And it was crappy. And so the thing about how I went about doing this is that I knew that if I was going to buy a property, that I was going to have to do a lot of work, which meant I was going to have to clear the land on my own, because I knew there was no way I was going to get anybody to mow it down for me or help me out in any capacity. And even some of the neighbors, the male neighbors here, would mock me and all this stuff, and talk about how I need a dick and blah, blah, blah. They're just mad that I'm, doing a man's job. And it's not that I want to do this. It's that I decided to take responsibility for the land that I purchased, and I decided to clean it up and fix it up and take care of it and make it a place where I can rest my head and be safe and dry from the elements, because I knew that no one was going to help me gain stability. In fact, everybody around me, for some reason, wanted to take it away from me. And so, even though I was scared to do this, even though I was freaking shit and bricks, and no one's ever done this before, I don't have a father figure in my life. My mother was an epileptic. She wasn't there. She was on medication a lot, and she was, having seizures. I had to call the hospitals a lot, and it was not a very easy upbringing with different guys raising you, and just you're just kind of this outcast of society because of the way you were born. And so you come out of this place where you have nothing, literally nothing. There was nothing left to me. And the family that I do have, they never gave me anything. And So I had to literally just get it from the mud. And so I didn't have a lot of money. My property at the time when I purchased it in 2021 cost me $9,988. And so I just put all that accident money. It went from one trust to the other, and I was done. I was a free and clear landowner, but now I had a shit ton of work to do. But you have no idea, like, this place I found, it's a gem, you know, and no one, and the thing about it is that there's so many gems that people devalue. This place was trash. There was trash everywhere. There was trash everywhere. And it was like, there was just so much crap I had to dig up out of this place. There were so many trees I had to cut. So many things I had to deal with. You know, there's like a lot of, you know, rust issues too here. But you know what? As the years have gone by, the property is becoming better, and it's healing, and it's just becoming a more, you know, nourished property. Like the fruit trees around here are, you know, getting more fruit on them, and everything is just starting to do better. And I rebuke anybody that wants to stop that from happening, okay? Because for some reason, every time, like, the thing, I was doing just off topic a bit, I was doing a garden series, but every time I did a garden series, every time I did it, the specific plant that I would show would get destroyed, would get, like, just, and the thing is, even, like, I just try to be, if I put something out there, it's because I don't give a shit if somebody knows. But there are some things that I keep to myself, especially, like, you know, certain things about plants and stuff. Like, now I'm learning that I'm not going to talk much about it until I've harvested things, and, you know, I've gone through that. It's just, but, you know, organizing all that footage over the time, it just, you know, I realize I can't do updates, because if I put that out there before it's done, for some reason it always gets sabotaged or destroyed. So I just don't say anything anymore until everything's finalized. So that's a whole other reason why I haven't talked about me being a free and clear landowner, is because I put this, you know, giant cabin on here, but I was financing it for a while, and I eventually got it paid off free and clear. And I now that it's settled and done for, you know, it's been a while since it's been, now I feel like safe enough to talk about it. You know, it's here, and, you know, there's nothing anybody can do about it. You know, I mean, it sucks that people just want to keep taking things away from you, like things that you work so hard for. Like, people don't understand what it takes to put energy into growing something and building something and cutting something, and then for people to just come and try to destroy your work without ever putting in the work themselves. It's just like, it's one of the shittiest feelings. But, you know, that is life. You know, it happens, you know, and sometimes people just want things, but they don't want the work associated with having those things, right? So, like, I want, you know, let's say, you know, you're a man that wants a beautiful wife and kids and the whole 9 yards, but you don't actually want to do the work associated with having those things, then one should not attempt to try and obtain those things until they reach a level of maturity in order to be able to handle that responsibility, right? And so, you know, biting more than you can chew, right? And so I tried my best to keep things quiet and slow. Sometimes you have to take that leap of faith, though, you know, and just do it, especially if you're in a tight situation, right? If I was anybody right now, I would go hunting. And so this is how I did it, right? So I knew I had this money, and now I was like, okay, great, I am definitely going to get a piece of land, because this was my whole thing, my logic. I was like, everybody in my life is trying to literally kill me. It seems as though no one wants me to have any kind of stability. I don't know why. People were making it difficult for me to have a normal eating schedule. Like, I developed an eating disorder. I developed a lot of issues simply because the stress in my life and like the things associated with eating were not good, and so I was being just tortured and just treated really badly for a really long time, but I'm not going to get into that. My whole point of this was, at least I could put a tent on it. At least I could put a tent on it, rest my head somewhere in the event that whatever happens. And that was my whole logic. At least I could throw a tent on there. I never knew it was going to become more than this. I never knew I was going to get chickens. I never knew it was going to be bigger. But as time progressed, I realized that, wow, if I take, a little bit of time and a little bit of effort here, I can build things myself. I can make things happen myself, and I can, get it done little by little. Because the thing about it is that, it seems like a lot of work right there on that day, but it's just, you keep chipping away at the project, and eventually you get a whole sculpture, and eventually it becomes exactly what you wanted it to be, right? And so this has been like my little sculpture, where it was nothing, it was trashed, it was something that people devalued. And then I cleaned it up, I made it something more than what people thought it was. And now it's the best investment I've ever made in my life, because now it's like worth way more than what I got it for. And so I can't believe it. So, the thing about it is that no matter, I win in this situation no matter what. Like, let's say I was like, what, screw it, I'm not gonna finish this project. If I sold it right now as it is, it would be like a huge win. And so my point is that I bought it at a time where people didn't, they thought the area, was just some boondocky bullshit area. And then I put some love into it, and then people kind of can see the beauty in it now, and people can appreciate it now. And so now I think the value of everything has gone up. And so even if it seems sometimes that it's the diamond in the rough, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't look, a diamond never looks like a diamond. You have to clean it up. And so I cleaned it up, and it became what it is. And now I have more stability than I've ever had in my life. Like, even with my family, like when I was with my mother, we were homeless a lot. We never lived in one place for any longer than a year, except for when we lived in, except for my middle school. For 3 years, we lived in this place called Mai Tai. That was the only place that I lived in for more than a year. I had a very transient life, it was very just go, 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 and so this is the first time in my life where I've ever had any, like, I guess I have like a little root, right? I have a root, like, it's wild. Oh, and the significance of that for me is a lot, because my family, especially the women in my family, never had that. Never, no one. And so now that it's like, when you've never had real stability, if you grew up unstable, people don't realize what it is to be able to just cook a meal and like, people don't realize what it is to not have to worry. Sometimes people take for granted, like, because they're raised up with, their family having wealth, and like you can pass the house down, and even if you don't want the house, you can sell the house so you can get your house, so you still have a house. My family had nothing, and I had nothing. And so this is the first time where I see, and like, yeah, I had other family members that have stuff, but they don't. The thing is, my family, the whole tradition is nobody helps anybody. Don't trust anybody. Nobody helps anybody, and no one gives a shit. That's what it was. And so, I wanted to break that. I wanted to be able to pass something down to my kids, and have the baton of wealth, if you would, to pass to my future. And so really, I think anybody can do this. It's just that when you're the first one to do it, it's so hard. But I can imagine if you had help, if people weren't trying to suppress your freedom, you know how easy you could do this with, especially if you had a friend or a boyfriend or some family that wanted to help you. You guys could knock this project out in a second. I ended up breaking a rib, going through a bunch of shit, getting into an accident that was purposefully caused. There was a bunch of shit that happened, to derail me from this. So many things that happened to derail me from this. Literally, my truck kept breaking down consistently. Oh my God, my truck broke down so many times. It was like the devil was on me. But you just gotta keep fighting. You don't, you'll grow weary, but if you don't faint, there's something at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the day, I own it free and clear. And the significance of that is great. And while, yeah, I know some people, they have mortgages, and, they have like more stability, and, they had more way into a community. Like, I didn't have community. I didn't have family. I didn't have people like that. You know what I'm saying? I kind of had to I fell really far from the tree, and it was just like sink or swim, live or die. And so I had to make choices, and I had to do things, and I had to, I had to do what I had to do to survive. And, I don't regret any of my decisions. I learned so much. And now I have this property. And sorry, to go back into kind of how I found this property, I went on different websites all over. I went to different areas. Like, I drove to physical areas, and I went and took a look. I kind of got an idea about the area or whatever, see, how far certain things are, and I got a price. There's so many different properties that you can get for $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and while they're probably going to be a little bit in the boondocks. If you are like me and you're fighting this kind of like, you never had anything given to you. You were born with nothing. You were born into poverty. And if you had the ability to save up, just a little bit of a few $1,000s, you can make something happen. You really can. You really can. And now I have a couple generators and like little power stations and generators, and I do what I can. And the thing about it is, I just keep at it. I keep making it better and better and more comfortable every day, and it gets better and better every day. And the thing about it is that, like, what can someone do? Stop making it better? Like, oh, stop making it better. You should, like, no one can stop me from making it better and doing better and doing more for myself. So, go check out some stuff, look at certain areas, save up money. It's not a lot to save up $5,000 and $10,000. If you have a buddy want to match you, you guys can come up with like a little project to do together to help yourself gain stability. You can throw an RV on the land, okay? And then you don't have to pay any rent for the land. You can create a little garden on the land. You can do a lot. And so, you can learn, and it's hard work. But it's worth it, because at the end of the day, it's yours. It's your operation, and no one can take it from you. And it allows you to, thrive in the way that you want to thrive. I could never do the whole renting thing. It just gave me anxiety, and it sucked because everything was shared. Like, everything is shared, and then you don't have privacy. You have maintenance coming in all the time, and just like, it just, the American dream is still here. You just have to do the work yourself. And you don't even have to do all the work yourself, because if you're not super poor like I was, you don't even have to cut the trees yourself. You could go hire someone to cut it down, or mow it down, or whatever the hell it is. It's not as difficult as you think, and you don't have to work as hard as you think, and you can retire, before, you think, if you go this route, and this is a very good route. A lot of people should do it. There's so many lots of land just like out in the boondocks that you could just do so much with. We could all just do so much with. And I think taking ownership over our country, over our land, is going to be the first step into making America great again. And I mean that. Take ownership of the land, people. Whether it doesn't matter if you own just a small little half-acre patch. Doesn't matter if you own an acre. It doesn't matter if you own 10,000 square feet. Just do what you can with what you have and own. Ownership is the key to freedom, and that is so true. Ownership is the key to freedom. And people take for granted what they have, and I've seen it. Some of these people, they just trash their environment. They put there's just soda cans and Coke bottles and piss bottles and candy wrappers and food debris and just a bunch of shit. They just trash their stuff, and it's just if you only knew what you had. But the thing about it is that the people that have it, they had generational wealth. It was brought down to them from their family, and so because of that, they don't respect it, they don't value it, because they had it since they always had it. And that's the thing, people don't realize the potential in what they have and the value of what they have when they get it so easy sometimes. So in a way, I'm happy that I did put in all this work for it, because now I just appreciate it so much. So, you can do it. Anybody can do it. Look online. You can find so many properties. Go driving around, look around. Trust me, you can find a lot of things. You can find a lot of things. You can find a lot of properties. You can find a lot of deals that you would never think you could find if you would just look. The thing about it is that my property, I was so lucky. I literally have a 50-year-old white grapefruit tree that grows grapefruits the size of my head. That's something you cannot buy. You cannot buy that. And so there's things that are going to be on your property, or there's going to be things, little surprises, little things that there's just things you just can't buy. You can't buy. Not like this established adult rare white grapefruit tree that grows these beautiful things. And that grapefruit tree, man, that saved my life. The grapefruits were so delicious, and they were so sweet. They were so sweet. They are sweet. And I can't wait till I get some more. And so that's another thing is when you live too much in an HOA, or you don't own things, or if you have to pay, an apartment, you don't have the freedom to just grow something. If you own your own property, you can grow a tree and watch it grow for for its whole lifetime. There's things that you can do. You can establish roots, but when you're renting all the time, you can't really do that, because nothing's really yours, right? Everything is shared, and so one day somebody could just choose to get rid of a tree that you plant just because it's not yours. This land is not yours, and so that's another luxury that I have, where if I wanted to grow some food or some trees or whatever, I have the banana tree that has a bunch of bananas on it. I can go grab some bananas. That's kind of luxury to me. So, even though it wasn't expensive to get all this, it was less than, way less than, I say, like with the land and the cabin, it was still under $25,000 to get both of these things. Okay. That obviously is not talking about, I'm talking if you save like a bulk amount of money, right? So it was less than $25,000 to get these two things established and paid in full. So it's very possible. And the reason why, the reason why I put this out there is because I know there's people that have way more capability than that, like can put more than that down, some people have that as just a down payment. And so what I'm saying is that if you're willing to, rough it out a little bit, you could actually establish something with your own hands. But anyways, I just want to throw this video out there. I just want to give people some ideas. The American dream can still be here if we choose to see it. And, we just got to be able to put in the work. And that's what it is. A lot of people don't want to put in the work. Everybody wants to be on the computer doing these things that doesn't affect physical reality. And so, that's why I prefer what I'm doing, because I can work on my actual physical reality. And that's what I really appreciate about it as well. So this is En Route, and I'm out.